Hello, ladies. How are you? Grab some oils. Ones am I feeling tonight? What oils you're using tonight? What are your favorites? I always ask you this. As someone joining from an iPhone that you know of, I don't let random people in. If you have someone that is trying to join, let me know. Is she trying to get in, Melody? Where are you? Oh, thank you. Come on in. Okay. I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk all about decoding food labels. And this is like just a tiny snippet of decoding food labels. And we're going to start with heart healthy labels. So welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Stutzman and I am a brand partner with Young Living. October is my 8-year anniversary with Young Living. Best choice we could have ever made for our family. And it came at just the right time. My daughter wasn't sleeping well, but then she went on to have some bigger issues with GI stuff and healing her gut as a baby, to respiratory things. And so, antibiotics and for respiratory stuff wasn't working because then it would give her, horrible reactions in the digestive tract area. And we were trying to heal her digestive tract. So it all came at just the right time. And so, yeah. Thank you, Deneen. It's just, it's been such a fun ride. And it's just fun raising my girls up, knowing how to use oils and how to, what oils to grab for what. And it's just kind of the only thing that they really know. But tonight we're going to be talking about decoding heart healthy labels, a little bit of Young Living, but really some of us got together, we were planning the months ahead, and October for us in our education group is going to be mostly about the cardiovascular system and supporting that. And, what is it? And what is cholesterol? And how do I lower my cholesterol? How do I lower or raise my blood pressure? And talking more about wellness, because oils are amazing, but we also have to have that foundation too. And so when we look at the market and we look at what food items are labeled as heart healthy, I don't know if you guys sometimes cringe, but I look at it and I'm like, you really put a heart healthy label on that. Now, let me just keep going here. I'm just going to stick to my plan here. But marketing of processed foods that are on the shelves, and I'm not talking about, obviously nuts, whole grains in their rawest form are healthy, and those are labeled heart healthy, and that's great. But when the industry is putting the labels on processed foods that are in boxes and bottles, and they are labeling them as heart healthy, that is where it's misleading people. They're going to the grocery store. Sometimes it's the older, our older generation, and they're believing what's on the label, right, to be heart healthy. And that's just causing more harm and inflammation rather than just consuming real food, alternatives or the real food. So these are, this is the American Heart Association check for approval, right? Making sure that the source of nutrients are there. What we're going to find is it's a lot of added synthetic nutrients in these products. And they call saturated fat bad. But in its purest, rawest form, saturated fat is actually not bad. That's not what gives us clogged arteries and, high cholesterol. It's all the processed stuff, and it's not having a healthy functioning liver. But when we're eating pastured meats, you know, animals that were raised on pasture without without grain, without soy. Soy is not a grain. Joni, you're in here, right? Soy is not a grain. It's a legume. And so without the grains, the soy, then you have a better quality meat, and that fat is actually, your body knows how to consume it and use it. I'm trying to think of an example. It'll come back to me. But yes, there is. If you can get the Weston A. Price, I don't have it, but I know my mom does. I was borrowing it from her. It's Nourishing Traditions Fats. I think it's called Fats. Someone can, maybe mom, can you put the title in here? I'm going off on a tangent. Sally Fallon Morell. If you're not familiar with her or the Weston A. Price Foundation, go follow them. Their podcasts are incredible and they teach truth. They're shadow banned on Instagram. You can't tag them now because they speak so much truth. But they have, she wrote a book on all kinds of fats, but your body can recognize saturated fat from lard, from quality grass-fed meats, and the way that it's processed in the body is a lot healthier than some of these synthetic oils, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And I'm going to give you guys some homework to do. Okay. So, oh, I didn't change this. Oh, shoot. These are not examples of healthy food. Forgive me. This is an example of what the industry says is healthy food. Okay. This is healthy. This is labeled as heart healthy. Canola oil. And you see the heart healthy label in there. Cheerios, soy milk, chicken noodle soup in a can, right? This is what, and we're just going to dissect these four, but I want to, and this is such a broad topic, but I want to open your eyes if you're not familiar. And if this is something that you are familiar with, this is a way that you can share with your friends, right? And just help educate them if their minds are open. And so I'm going to give you some homework to do. I'm teaching a class at our co-op, bunch of middle school, high school kids, and I had them do this for homework. Go to YouTube and search, how is canola oil made? You may not be using it again in the future. It's pretty disgusting, but they make it sound like it's so healthy for you. Even in the video, it's like 2 minutes. So I'll give you just a little snippet. Canola oil is not this color. It's actually a gross brown color, and they have to bleach it. And they get it to a really high temperature, and they bleach it over and over again. And they use solvents like hexane, sodium diphosphate, I think it is, but all these chemicals to clean it, to wash it, to get it this color. And then the solid component of it is then turned into Crisco, which took the place of lard. So way back in the day, in the 50s, if you look at advertising, if you've ever gone to any Weston A. Price conference, which I highly suggest you do, listen to Sally Fallon Morell, and she'll even show you, you can even do this on your own, but marketing is so strong. They would tell women that only poor women cook with lard, and that to be a classy woman in your kitchen, you have to cook with Crisco. And this was like 40s, 50s, I believe, like, you know, that I think that's like the Industrial Revolution time. And so, but ask any older generation, they're like, lard is king. Like, lard makes the best pie dough. It's just, oh my, it's great for frying, and that's saturated, right? And so they say that's bad. But that is actually, if it comes from an animal that has not been fed grain or soy, and they've been on pasture, then that fat is actually better for you than this canola oil or olive oil. We'll get to some swap outs at the end. So let's look at Cheerios here. Heart healthy again, right? And they even have the heart healthy label on all the flavored ones and all the sugary ones as well, if you look at Cheerios. Now, Cheerios here, I would say that, you know what? I would look at this and think that this was somewhat healthy, right? Because it's whole grains. What makes this really inflammatory and a body burden is the wheat. This wheat, it's not organic, and it has been sprayed so heavily with glyphosate. Are you all familiar with glyphosate? I see some heads nodding. Glyphosate is, I mean, it's a Monsanto product. It's, I mean, if you research the history of it, which I'm not even going to get into, it's going to blow your mind on what glyphosate is. And it's a broadleaf herbicide, right? It's sprayed on all wheat to ripen it up all at the same time to kill weeds. But so you think about the big wheat fields, you know, back in the day, wheat was allowed to, you know, essentially like ferment and sprout in the field. And that would make it more digestible. And now it's all sprayed, it's all ripened at one time and brought in, and then we're consuming this. So it's a body burden, and it's burdening the liver. And so we want to keep the liver healthy and clean, because here it says lowers cholesterol. Well, cholesterol is not bad. Cholesterol is a good thing. It goes in and it repairs. And so if you have high cholesterol, that's a signal, okay, well, there's probably something wrong with my liver. It's not your heart. It's not the high cholesterol. It's, okay, what's not working in my liver? It's getting to the root issue. And so it's not necessarily what you're eating and what you're consuming. It could be, because if you're not getting the proper nutrition to go through for your liver to go through the phases of detoxification, it's actually 3 phases of detoxification. And you need minerals, you need B vitamins, you need antioxidants. And so it comes down to proper nutrition to help your liver function. And then when you're burdening it with foods like glyphosate, right? Foods that are like canola oil, that are high inflammatory foods, then yes, your liver is going to be not functioning properly. And then you could have that high cholesterol, because it's, you know, it has to, you have a lot of cholesterol to go in and repair those arteries. That makes sense. So one of the ingredients in here, so I was like dissecting the ingredients, because like you look at this and like the list doesn't look that bad. Lots of B vitamins, D, but those are all synthetic vitamins added in. Folic acid, which it should be folate, right? But one of the things that stuck out to me was the tripotassium phosphate. And where's the other one? Yeah, that's the one that was in there. So I'm going to read it to you. I encourage you, go to the grocery store, have some fun. Make it a fun Friday night date night. I don't know, but if this intrigues you. Okay. It is a cleaning agent. Okay, it is a chemical used to clean, you know, used almost like a paint thinner, right? But we're consuming it because government says it's generally regarded as safe. Well, so are oils too, right? And we could read that as different, but I'm like, this is a cleaning agent. And why is this in our food? So it's there to preserve, usually freshness. It's a preservative. All of these things are mostly preservatives. Okay, they say soy milk. Soy milk, that was a huge, you know, a huge health fad a couple years ago, right? And now it's the almond milk and the, you know, the oat milk and all that. Drink raw milk. You know, if you can't tolerate that, then I understand if you have to drink the oat milk or, you know, what have you, but be very careful with these because there are so many fillers in these. And even if it does have a healthy organic label on it, look at this list here. Soy is so estrogenic. It creates an imbalance in your body. It is, it's a phytoestrogen. But the amount of estrogen in this is way too high for our body to even recognize, metabolize. And soy is in everything. So that's not even that's another whole issue too, like soy being in everything as well in all of our foods, because again, that's sprayed heavily with glyphosate. But a lot of preservatives. Carrageenan is one of those things you can even see that you'll see that in like creamers and stuff too. Carrageenan is it's a hot topic. Like, is it cancer causing? That is one of the questions there. So it's a preservative. There's no real definite answers. Some people say that it's really harmful in the body because it's a carcinogen. Other people say, no, it's not, but I don't know. You would have to weigh that. When I get creamer at the store for my coffee, I always try to find one that's just cream and does not have these fillers in. Again, the B vitamin, this I can't even pronounce it. This one down here. It's a form of B12, and I've actually never heard of B12 being called that. So again, synthetic vitamins being added. Again, this creates inflammation because the body doesn't know how to respond to it, and sees it as, just a body burden. And then chicken soup in a can. Look at all that stuff in there, right? There's dehydrated onions. That's not bad, right? But you have the sodium phosphate. That's a preservative, I believe. I took a bunch of screenshots because I had to Oh, sodium phosphate. It's a saline laxative. It's in a class of medications called saline laxatives. It works by causing diarrhea so that the stool can be emptied from the colon. Enjoy that with your side of chicken noodle soup. Okay. So this is why reading labels is important, like turning them over. If you don't know what a word is, we all have smartphones. We all have Google, right? We didn't have that, back in the 80s, 90s. But now we do. And so we can help our family and friends make better choices. Monosodium glutamate is MSG. And MSG is there for preservative. It keeps food fresh, and it preserves the food. But there are food scientists out there that actually create taste combinations they know how your brain works. Monosodium glutamate, MSG, does this thing in our brain. Did you ever open chips and you're like, why can't I stop eating them? Because there's things in there that they add, including flavorings. Right here it says flavorings. And we know in the essential oil world where if you have a fragrance, it is proprietary to a company. They don't have to say what's in it. Same thing for flavorings. So they don't have to say what's in those flavorings, but it just creates, your brain wants more, but your body's saying, I don't know if I'm full, right? So these create high inflammation in the body burden. The liver just can't process all of these things that are foreign because it's not real food. And so what do we do instead? What are some choices that we can help our family and friends and ourselves make? Olive oil. If you research how olive oil is made, it is completely, I can't say completely different. Some similar processes at the beginning, but olive oil is not heated. Cold pressed is the best. They actually taste test olive oil like you do with wine. Having residual particles in your olive oil is actually really high-end olive oil. So we get kind of like the seconds that's all filtered. But olive oil is good for drizzling, salad dressings, not necessarily high heat. Avocado and lard and butter are better for higher heat. Lard and butter definitely for higher heat. So butter is amazing. Stick with butter and lard. I do avocado oil when I'm using, when I'm baking instead of canola or vegetable oil. So avocado for baking, making homemade popcorn on the stove, that kind of thing. Olive oil has a stronger flavor, so I'll use that for salad dressing. Einkorn flour. I get a bulk bag of jovial einkorn flour when I do when I bake. It's an ancient grain. It has not been sprayed with glyphosate. It's organic, and your body, it has lower in gluten too, so your body knows how to digest it better. Young Living has a whole line of einkorn products. They do from time to time, they'll have einkorn flour as well. I find that their einkorn flour is a little bit on the grainier side. Jovial is run through the mills, I think, at such a fine consistency that it's really great. It's kind of like butter. It's like golden and it's just beautiful. But I love the einkorn cereal. If you are a cereal person and it's the one thing that you're like, I can't get rid of my cereal, the einkorn flakes are so good, or even just to have as a snack. They are lightly sweetened, but you don't have any of the junk stuff that's in like Cheerios would have. And then again, einkorn, easily digestible, and it's organic too. For sweeteners, sucanat sugar or coconut sugar doesn't spike the blood sugar as much. And then instead of chicken noodle soup, bone broth. Bone broth is really easy to make. And I have a whole recipe guide of snacks and bone broth is in there. If you go to my website, I'll type it in at the end, but it's a free snack guide that you can download and learn to make bone broth. I mean, we just had we had 2 chickens tonight for dinner, picked them all, and I threw all the carcasses in a big stock pot, throw a little apple cider vinegar in there, maybe like, I don't know, a couple tablespoons. It helps break down the bones. And then I fill it with water, and I add onions and celery and garlic and tons of herbs, whatever you want to add, so much flavor. And you just put that on the stove and you let that simmer if you're home all day. If not, put it in the crock pot, and you're going to have amazing broth that you can sip on. You can make soups with. Young Living has einkorn pasta. You can make your own, make your own chicken noodle soup. Pastured meats, we talked about that already, because the fat, you don't like, when you cook a greasy burger, it's like that yellow, like orange fat, and it's really hard to get off of the pots and pans. That is not the good kind of saturated fat. You want leaner pastured meats that don't leave a whole lot of fat in the pan. I have a resource guide if you guys are local on my website. If you're not local, go to westinaprice.com and you can search chapter leaders in your area, and they will hook you up with pastured, with farmers that raise meat the best way possible. Organic oats instead of cereals, and then fermented food, because fermented foods help the liver to detoxify, right? Helps with detoxification. And so remember, we want to have a healthy liver. It's not necessarily about the heart. It's like, okay, why is my cholesterol high? It's also, we'll be talking about this in our group too, but it's also stress management. Why is my blood pressure so high? So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about in our group this month is all cardiovascular. So I wanted to lay the firm foundation of nutrition first. And getting over those food lies. That's another person you can research. The Food Babe, Vani Hari. You go to foodbabe.com. She has a book called Feeding You Lies, and she really she goes against the industry so hard with all the stuff that they put in it and the chemicals, because in the United States, I mean, the list of ingredients are so long compared to, if you shop at Aldi and you pick up like a European brand, there's only a couple ingredients in those, in those brands compared to the United States version. And then raw milk, if you can handle dairy, would be the best option. Again, you're getting K2, you're getting K1, you get from leafy greens, but the animal eats the grass and then converts it to K2. And K2 is a fat-soluble vitamin that our body needs for healthy skin, healthy nails, joints, and the animal does the work for you. So then you're consuming the K2, all right? And the vitamin D, so you're getting all those really beneficial vitamins and minerals. So it just comes down to real food. Okay, so here's some swap outs for you. And in my recipe guide, I have my baked oatmeal recipe, but you can find really any baked oatmeal recipe online. And you're using the ingredients I shared, sucanat, or maple syrup, real pastured eggs, organic oats. It starts with real raw ingredients that are grown properly. Cooked oatmeal, right? Just making some cooked oatmeal in the morning. My dad does this every night. He gets his oatmeal ready, and then he puts it in the microwave. I'm like, no, Dad, not the microwave. Stovetop is best. But he eats his homemade oatmeal every morning, not from a packet, right? Avocado toast. You're getting healthy fats. You're getting the nutrients from the eggs. Toast. I would suggest like a sourdough or Ezekiel bread. If you've never tried Ezekiel bread, it's in the freezer section, and it makes the best toast ever. All organic, sprouted grains, so your body can digest it. And then bone broth for breakfast as well. Now, this was on here when I was making this PowerPoint, and I was like, ooh, this kind of goes well with this. So here's a recipe. You can take a screenshot. I like to cook my salmon. So the poke bowls are usually like sushi, raw salmon. If you're into that, then you get a really good quality salmon. Oops, hang on. There we go. Yeah. So rice, salmon fillet, nori is like what you would get sushi wrapped in. It's the seaweed flakes. And you can find those like at health food stores now. I feel like it's more available. Avocado and cucumber. And then, so this is heart healthy. Okay. You're getting your healthy fats. You're getting your spinach, your vegetables. This would be a heart healthy lunch or dinner. So I might have to add that to the menu. I'm not sure if my kids would like that. They love salmon. Maybe not the nori. I have nori flakes. You could do that too. Nori flakes give tons of minerals to your body. All right, and then dinner options. Root vegetable bake with chicken. Chop everything up, put it on a pan, drizzle it with a little bit of maple syrup, and cook a whole chicken. I'm not one for chicken breasts because doesn't taste, it's like bland. You lose the fat when you take the skin off. Like cook a whole chicken that was pasture raised and it tastes incredible. And then you can use the carcass for broth the next day. And then pasture steak and veggies, right? No baked potatoes, no sour cream, no butter, just a good old steak and lots of veggies. So those would be, some dinner options, but think real food instead of packaged food. The other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't mention in here, let me go back to this real quick. I was saying that Young Living has a whole line of einkorn, so that is an option, right? The one thing I was going to put another food to decode, but Snapple iced tea came up as one of the heart healthy drinks too. And I'm like, no, that's filled with sugar. So what are we going to drink instead? Ningxia Red, right? Ningxia Red, Ningxia Zing. So those would be a healthier alternative because you get those antioxidants in there that are going to gobble up free radicals. And I don't even know if I mentioned sodium, like the salt, that's always like on those labels too. Like it's a low sodium thing. Well, we need salt. We need salt for all the nerve impulses in our body. We cannot live without salt, but you don't want to overdo it either. So I'm going to stop share here. You don't want to overdo it, obviously, but it's for all nerve impulses, to contract and relax muscles, including your heart. Okay. And so when we're getting rid of salt, I could cringe. Moderation, obviously, but getting a good Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, or Redmond's real salt. I love Redmond's real salt because it has all the, minerals still intact in that salt. So what are your questions? Because we have just a couple minutes. But this was just like a glimpse, an eye opener for you guys just to take notice when you're walking down the aisles and you see labels, think marketing, is that really healthy? And just to help you educate your friends and family as well. And this is something I do more in depth with my health coaching clients, taking them through reading labels and then, okay, here's an alternative. Let's make this meal together. And doing those baby steps because they can't learn it in one 30-minute class, right? No one can learn it in one 30-minute class. It has to be little baby steps. So think about one thing in your home. Maybe you do love Cheerios. Maybe you want to swap out to the einkorn flakes, right? Or try baked oatmeal or even making homemade granola. Like, what is one thing you can swap out? One bad habit, right? Or one processed food that you want to get rid of. And then think about what can you swap out with. It's not about taking it totally out of your diet. It's finding ways to incorporate something that's similar but more nourishing. So yes, Denise, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. I've been reading.
I put in a comment.
Oh yeah.
I've been reading that a lot
Denise,
of
the pesticides are in oats too. You just have to make sure they're organic. As much, even organic these days.
Yeah. Okay. And there were certain brands, forget what they were, that were highlighted that even I thought it was like even some of the organic ones you had to be careful about. Like you have to do your research because they're not all, I mean, like how Young Living is. It has to be 50 years organic compared to the 5 years for what they call certified organic. So it's even creeping in to the organic ones. So, but I think you can look up and find a list of the ones that are acceptable or not.
Yeah. Even like organic processed food isn't always organic. It could be just a couple ingredients in that food. I'm thinking of Annie's, I would buy Annie's snacks for my kids all the time because I thought they were healthier alternatives, but they're still not. Organic labels don't necessarily mean anything. That's why, yes, right. I love Young Living's transparency and you know what you're getting, that you're getting quality ingredients. Any other questions? If not, you can always reach out to me. I'm going to put my website. You go to my website, wealthhoperevival.com, and you scroll all the way to the bottom. There'll be a shop section. And in that shop section, I have it's called Nourish. It's a little cookbook. It's a PDF that you can download. You can even print it if you want to. And I have a bone broth recipe in there, my baked oatmeal recipe, and some other, snack options too. And then in that same, down at the bottom, it says resources. That's where my Weston A. Price resource link is for Lancaster County, if you're local. If not, go to Weston. I'm going to type it right here. westonaprice.org. And then you'll drop down menu. You can search chapter leaders, listen to some of their podcasts. They're incredible if you like to listen to podcasts while you're folding laundry or, driving in the car. So thank you, ladies, for joining tonight, and happy October. Can you believe we're in October already? Next Monday, my mom is going to be on. Her and I are going to be sharing about trauma and the heart connection, because there is so much emotional sides to the heart. I mean, think about, heartache and, oh, I feel it in my heart, or, we can feel things in our heart, right? So we're going to talk about the emotions with trauma and the heart next Monday night. After that, we're going to do a breast health testimonial night. If you have any testimonies of breast health, breast issues that you've gone through, if you are a cancer survivor, anyone that or someone that could be on the panel that could help, just encourage other women along this journey. And then the last Monday is, well, we're not doing Halloween, because if you celebrate Halloween, that's usually a night that not many people attend. And then our brand partner call is all about planning for social media. How do we manage our time? That kind of thing. So, all right, ladies, you guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you back here next Monday night. Good night.